Yeah, this is the Fresno Nightcrawler. I've been listening to your guys' show for quite some time, and I gotta say, me and my two friends feel horribly misrepresented by your podcast. Let's start with the obvious one. Saying that the Fresno Nightcrawler is fake is just ridiculous. We are totally not fake. So I just wanted to throw that out there that we hate your show. This show sucks. Anyway, keep up with whatever it is that this show does besides being wrong because the Fresno Nightcrawler is real. We exist and we matter. Bye.
I think our first 5 episodes need to be a range of different topics. I think that this is the perfect time with our first 5 episodes to come out and sit and do sort of like a flex, like, hey, we're not just married to just cryptids, we're not married to ghosts, we're not married to anything. We can do all this shit.
And then I designed an infinity ring on Paint, on Microsoft Paint. Just kind of figured out how to do that, and then
Nice.
I printed it out. And then I used the tracing paper. I got the both of them combined, and then transferred that onto a page. And then pretty much as we were building off of it, saying like, okay, we're doing. Now I've got both of them on a piece of paper, right? So now I'm gonna make a bunch of copies of it,
Yep.
and then we're gonna work with, say, the color scheme. I think we're both good with the intro,
Cool.
that 15-second little right in the beginning. I mean, that's fine. But that outro was just like, I wish I was listening to it on my beats because I wanted to hear that bass. Like it was like do 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 do. I loved it.
All right, well,
Yeah, I think.
thank you for joining us on the Infinite Rabbit Hole. We'll see you next week. Welcome to the 100th episode of the Infinite Rabbit Hole podcast. I am your host, Jeremy. Today, we're going to dive into a debate, very loosely formatted for your entertainment. Which, just to translate that for you guys, it just means that we didn't set this up at all, and we're fucking lazy. And we really don't have a plan for today. I mean, like I said, it's our 100th episode from the first episode, which means that there's 100 episodes. See? Very loosely formatted. Don't know what we're doing. We're going to have a debate about space being fake. And there's a little bit of a rumor that this might turn into a little bit of a flat earth debate as well. But we'll see where the boys take us.
Wes is stoked.
Shh. Surprise.
Totally, dude.
Remember, on the Paranormal Network, they don't see his face yet, so they don't know who he is. Yeah, you just ruined it, Jake. Thanks.
Just
Anyways,
mysterious.
it's mysterious.
So mysterious.
So for celebrating the 100th episode, I went back to the roots and I wore the original logo for the Infinite Rabbit Hole. If anybody's looking and watching on the Paranormal Network, this was our original logo. You can see the new logo behind Jacob. Speaking of Jacob, let's just go ahead and bring you in. What's up, dude? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Ready for the 100th episode. This is freaking nuts.
Nuts?
This is crazy.
Nuts?
Yeah, for real. The people that are watching right now on YouTube can see that I'm wearing a shill hat. This is to kind of slap back at our worst review we've ever had as the Infinite Rabbit Hole. So take that digital. I hope you're watching, and I hope this adds fodder to your reviews. Also, there's been, for people that aren't on our Facebook, there's been a huge line of merch that's come out recently. We've been cranking out a bunch of t-shirts and stuff, like this fan-approved, Bigfoot-approved t-shirt with massive nipples. Yeah,
Yes.
this was Kenzar's husband's idea, and we kind of have this
Shout out to Kieran.
Yeah, we kind of have this deal that, you know, if you hit us up on our Facebook and say I want this type of T-shirt, nothing crazy vulgar unless it's massive pepperoni nipples, but I'll make it for you, or I'll do my very best. And even if it sells one T-shirt, I'll do it for you. And then also, we have shoes that came in.
Look at them
Yeah.
kicks.
I'm wearing them right now, and they're actually pretty dang comfortable. They're pretty similar to the Vans that I usually wear. So, yeah, these have come in, and a lot of new stuff. But yeah, you can find your shill hat and your Bigfoot approved nipple tee and non-nipple tee, and all various stuff on our website, infiniterabbithole.com. Link in the IRH merch shop.
Yeah, we have the G and PG rated version of that T-shirt.
This isn't a wear to the grocery store type shirt. Maybe it is. I don't know. It depends on you, I suppose.
and your grocery store. So go ahead and bring in the next host, Kenzar. How you doing?
Fantastic. After that was a great laugh. That was a fantastic laugh. That was hilarious.
Kieran will appreciate that.
Oh, he's gonna hate me, but it's
The world's
funny,
gonna know
so it's worth it. Every last bit of it was worth it. He's just gonna have to live with it.
It's funny because I've had to explain the background of that shirt probably more than anything in the history of the Infinite Rabbit Hole. It's pretty funny.
Yep, that's my husband.
All right. And for the episode for the day, like I said, we're going to debate the famous space is fake topic that I know everybody has been waiting for. This has been talked about since the dawn of Jeffrey in the Infinite Rabbit Hole. And speaking of, in the red corner, weighing it in at a whopping 105 pounds with a beard and 96 pounds without. Jeffrey Space is Fake Fernandez. Everybody, ding, ding, ding.
That's got a nice ring to it. Jeffrey Space is Fake Fernandez. I like that.
You like that?
I'm gonna change my license to say that
Do
in
it.
all my legal binding documentation to Jeffrey Space is Fake Fernandez.
Dude, you should get a legal name change and change your middle name to Space is Fake.
I should. I might actually do that. I was thinking
Do
about
it.
running for mayor of my town, so I got to change my
Do
name
it.
first and then run for mayor. I'm sure I'll get elected
Do
then.
it.
I was talking to Whitney about this earlier, and I was like, man, I wish I had that like UFC announcer voice, like a really deep, commanding voice. And she's like, oh, you could put echo on it in the edit, right? And I was just like, you know, same thing, you know, in this corner we have this person, in this corner we have that person, and be like, Jeffrey Science Denier Fernandez. Just, you know, something ripping on him, you know. Watch him get all flustered.
Yes, do it. I mean,
Anyways.
well, listen, here's the thing, right? Oh, we'll get into it. Go ahead. Just carry on.
Yeah, we gotta talk about who you're sparring with tonight.
That's
right.
fine.
And in the green corner, weighing in at I have no fucking clue, coming in from somewhere in Maryland, probably around Baltimore, because that's all that exists there. Our old co-host, Wes, believes in space king.
Hey!
Wes, welcome back to the Infinite Rabbit Hole, man.
Thank you. And just for the record, I weigh vet status. All right.
Yes. Me too.
There's more
now.
than I did in the military.
Me too. This is my first recording as a veteran. As you can tell by my hair, I'm no longer a service haircut. And also, this is the last recording that I'll be doing in the first Infinite Rabbit Hole studio. Actually, kind of, I got some trivia for you guys. One that I'm just going to give to you guys. As the answer is that there was actually only 99 episodes recorded in here. Actually, 98. There's only 98 recordings in here because we're actually recording episode 100 before 99. Don't know why, but that's just how it turned out. And here is the trivia question. Let's see if any of the hosts can get it. If they don't, if none of the hosts get it right now, the first person to make a post on the Infinite Rabbit Hole Facebook group telling me what the only episode of the Infinite Rabbit Hole I was not in,
We'll get $1,000.
I will buy you an Infinite Rabbit Hole t-shirt.
A nipple tee, yeah.
Come on,
Has to be the nipple teeth.
hosts. Can you answer it?
The only one you weren't in, not including one that hasn't been recorded yet.
Yeah, including I've only been in this. By the time the 100th episode comes out, people will have been able to hear my voice on 99 episodes of the Infinite Rabbit Hole.
Oh, was that even? No, it might not have. Never mind.
Wait, but I'm saying like because there's one coming up that you're not going to be involved in, or a few. Do
Right.
those count?
Nope.
Oh, okay, I see.
Nope.
Because I don't really know what the order of
Enzar, you
the
can't
release
cheat.
is.
Enzar, you can't cheat. Put your phone down.
I don't know, bro.
He wasn't in.
I'm stumped.
All right. Well,
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not going to put it out there.
Wow.
I'll let you guys know after the recording. But there is an episode of the Infinite Rabbit Hole that I was not part of. And I believe it's still active, too.
You hear that, travelers? $1,000 in an Infinite
That's
Rabbit
not
Hole
what I
t-shirt.
said. That's not what I said. I said t-shirt. I said I got you guys a t-shirt of your choice. Of your choice.
$1,000 cash out of Jeremy's personal savings account.
I think I have an idea, but
He's
I
gonna
don't
sign
know.
every single bill.
I'm second guessing myself now.
Well, don't answer it because that leaves it open for.
Yeah, I want
everyone.
the fans to have more fun.
You can text me though, and I'll tell you yes or no.
He's upping the amount to $10,000.
That's
for the
not
answer
It's not true. Not true. But the first traveler to get it right on the Infinite Rabbit Hole Facebook page will get a free t-shirt. I got you. You just
I
Damn
knew
it.
he was
This
going to
one.
win. I was just going to say that. Damn
Yeah.
it. Why do we always have the same thought at the same time, Jake?
Because we're the same.
Are we twin flames?
We are.
samesies.
So synchronicities.
Twin shills.
Twin
I am not a shill, sir.
One was it's like a sitcom. One was born a shill and one was not. But
Exactly.
yet they think the same.
Yin
They're
and
like,
yang.
Separated at birth.
One can grow a beard, one can't. One has hair on his head, the other does not.
So is the opposite of a shill
Complete
conspiracy
opposite.
theorist?
yes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, perfect.
It
I
is
can go
now.
with that. I go with that.
Fitting.
There you go.
All right. So, Wes, what have you been up to, man? What are you doing with your life now, man?
Man, I'm just living, man. Living the good vet life, you know.
Yeah.
Partaking in all of life's great things there is to enjoy, you know.
Do you miss us?
Of course, absolutely.
Don't lie to us.
I always had a good time with you guys.
He's lying.
I'm not lying.
Damn.
No. I know in the past that things would sometimes get, you know, pretty tense between Jake and I, you know, because we had very two opposing views, but I always enjoyed that, you know.
I don't recall
So
any of that. All I remember is
he's in
you would
denial.
scream at me. You're like, "Shut up, Jake!" in your stupid face, and I'm just like, "Man, all this abuse."
Never.
But we pulled all those episodes, so no one can verify that I'm telling the truth. But I am.
Believe me, it's true.
Believe me, yes, I'm a doctor, as far as you know.
Don't mind the show hat he's wearing.
That's right.
All right, so you guys ready to jump into round one?
Sure.
Hell yes.
All right. Just a reminder for anybody listening to this episode, this is a very loose format, okay? This is episode 100. We didn't do much for this, okay? We weren't ready. We're half-assed here in the Infinite Rabbit Hole. But I would like to start off with Jeffrey. Jeffrey, what is your number one argument? Give me something that you can debate with Sir Wesley here about space being fake. When did you first come into the thought that space might be fake?
Sure, Jeremy. Thank you. So let me just explain what I mean when I say space is fake, because as we all know, and probably half the people that listen to the show, I do speak very hyperbolically. And when I say space is fake, that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't think that there is something up there, right? There is I use the word realm just to separate it from the term space, right? So we don't get confused. I do believe there is a realm in the sky, but I don't believe
like space.
He's already changing his answer. And he's on board. The debate's over.
What I'm saying is no. What I'm saying is
short.
that what we are told about space, I believe, is probably 90%, if not more, lies. I don't think that you and me as regular schmoes and a shill, I don't think that we know anything about what that realm really is based on the information that's handed to us. I think that the information is fake and we are lied to. So that's what I mean when I say space is fake. So to answer your question, I don't know when I decided to believe space was fake. It's been a long time, but I would say one of the most damning things for me was finding out that all of the pictures given to us from NASA of planets and nebulas and far off distant galaxies and stars and all the other things aren't actually pictures. They are artist renditions of data. So they're cartoons.
They're paint by numbers.
Paint by numbers, dude. That's a
Now,
good way. I
It
like
ruined my life when you told me that.
I do want to step in here, okay? Because I don't
People
know.
believe me
Hold
when
on,
I
Wes.
say
Hold on.
that.
I got you. I just want to step in here and say that this was very hard to believe, right? Until you go on YouTube and you look up videos of NASA scientists, like actual astronomers or whoever the fuck they want to call themselves. Actual
Other
people, shills from NASA, literally telling you how they produce the pictures and how they are not literally taken from a camera like we know of here on planet Earth. Okay. So it is true. What Jeff is saying is not 100% false. With that, let's go to Wes.
Okay, so I'll admit you are partially correct, but you're not completely correct with that. Pictures of the Earth are CGI, and you can say fake. They are artist composites of what data NASA has gathered and whatnot. Because I mean, for us to send something out, to an orbit that far out just to take a picture would be ridiculous, right? It'd be a waste of tax dollars and whatnot. But pictures of nebulas, the recent picture of the supermassive black hole, and everything else, those are real, 100%. Those are absolutely real. I mean, you can go on, I forget what site it's on, but you can download the full res versions of those pictures and whatnot. And some of them are like literally multiple gigs just for one picture. Like it's like legitimate photos. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad, and I'm also glad that you set the what's the word I'm looking for? What you I guess the standards of what you are determining or saying space is fake. You're not saying that there's nothing out there. It's more of what they tell us is out there isn't what's actually out there. Because I literally preparing for this episode, I was trying to look up any and all theories or anything info I could find on the internet of how space is fake, and to be honest, there was not a whole lot.
Yeah, good luck.
It's like grasping at straws on the internet, and that's a rare thing nowadays. Because there's a little bit of everything on the internet, but yeah. But
so let's go back to the pictures. And how are you 100% certain that these photos of, let's say, the supermassive black hole, nebulas, all this stuff that's coming in from the new thing out there? What is it? The James Webb right? Is that what it is? James Webb.
That's a new one.
All the pictures coming in from there, that they're not literally done the exact same way as they've done throughout history with NASA. Because I'm telling you, man, I originally thought Jeff was just bullshitting until you hear the words come out of the horse's mouth.
Jake threw
And
away
this
his
is-
mouse pad.
He
Yeah.
did.
Wait,
That's the
his
reason
mouse
why we
pad?
have new Infinite Rabbit Hole mouse pads, everybody.
Yeah. I had to throw away my gaming mouse pad because I had a big old giant nebula on it, and I was like, "This is garbage. This is a lie." And I put it in a dumpster, set the dumpster on fire, threw it out in the ocean. It was wild, wild time of my life. I did the Ace Ventura. I set all my clothes on fire in a trash can, and I was like in the shower. No, all that. It was great.
No, that is a good question, though. How do we know that the pictures are actually pictures of what they're telling us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest, Wes, we'll just
Mhm.
talk about what you do kind of on the side. You make some pretty intense photographs. Some artistry that you do is amazing. And let's say that you were to do a black hole, would it be able to be passed off to the masses if NASA were to put it out and say this is something that came from James Webb?
No. Well, so I mean, at this point, this recent picture of the supermassive black hole is the only picture that we've ever had been able to take of a black hole. I mean, because as most people know, it's common knowledge that black holes basically absorb all light
Light.
around them. I.e., black hole. It's a bunch of nothingness, right? But the image was compiled from I don't know how much data. It was a literal fuck ton of data. I don't know the amount off the top of my head, but they had been working on this for I don't know how long, but it was years and years. And I mean, if we were to make a CGI version of the black hole, I'm sure that it would look better than what they actually released. It was just like a very low res, you could almost say pixelated, like orange ring, a blurry orange donut, if you will. If someone didn't tell you what you were looking at, the average person would probably be like, what the hell is that? And for them to release that and say, hey, this is the first picture we've ever taken of a black hole, I imagine if it was fake, they would have gone to greater lengths to make it more obvious what it is, As for what I can make, to like create like a fake black hole or whatever and try to pass it as something from NASA. The closest anyone's ever gotten to that is the black hole from Interstellar, Gargantua. And that black hole in that movie was based off of real math and real knowledge of what we know of black holes, the way it bends light and whatnot. Like no one up to that point had ever used what we know so far, or what we think we know, at least, to create a visual representation of what a black hole would look like. And once they start doing the math, they realize that the whole accretion disk, how it like folds up, it looks like it's like folds at a 90-degree angle, when you're looking at it, like all that came from that. And that was like they kind of had like an epiphany when they were putting that all together. It's like, holy hell, like this is what it would look like. We've never really gone this far with all of it. I forget the name of the guy that they had to help them with that, but he's regarded as like the go-to guy for anything related to that in physics and stuff like that. So, if it was NASA saying, "Oh, that's what it would look like," maybe I would be a little bit more hesitant. But this is an independent scientist who came and worked on this, and all his years of experience came together to put that together.
All his years as a shill.
I mean, possibly. I mean, maybe he wanted his 15 minutes of fame. That's why he was consulting for Interstellar. I don't know.
Maybe.
But I don't know. You see something like that. Like, I can make something similar to that, I'm sure. But it would look too good. And to me, that's one thing that what helps me determine if something's fake or not. You watch a movie that has like a lot of CGI and stuff like that. The average person can tell, okay, that isn't real. Something, they have this instinct, this basic instinct that's like something's off with that. I'm sure all y'all can, relate to that feeling, and it's known as the uncanny valley. It may not even be something that we specifically have knowledge on, but our lizard brains basically is just like, that ain't right. Something's off with it. And if they try to pass that off, I don't know, maybe our lizard brain would be like, that's fake. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, some
Kind of
people
rambling
do
at this
say
point,
that.
but
Some people
Yeah.
do say that. Some people do
Okay.
say that.
does.
Jeff says
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, let me just bring up 2 points. One, I think, well, there's actually a lot of points I could bring up, but I'll try to keep it short. Number
no,
one,
no need. Come on, all of
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Let's go.
Number one, and you even said this yourself. Now, maybe you didn't mean the way that I'm thinking, but they compiled a huge amount of data to create the images, right? So that's the whole thing. It's not a picture taken the way that you and I would think a picture is taken. It is literally them collecting data, right? Ones and zeros, let's just say, in every spectrum of light that they can, and then mapping that out. And then, like Jeremy says, color by numbers. So what we see on NASA's website from whatever it is, it's not a picture, it's an image created through data. So that's like one of my big questions is, why can't we just get a picture? And more importantly, why can't we get a picture of the Earth from space? We have tens of thousands of satellites orbiting the Earth. Now, I get that they're actually not in space, they're in the thermosphere, which is another thing I'll bring up and we'll talk about later. So you can't necessarily turn one of these satellites around and get a full shot of the Earth because of the proximity. I get all that. But apparently we've sent things as far out as beyond the solar system, right? Into interstellar space. And the only picture that we've gotten from that of the Earth is a tiny little speck of light. So, I mean, they could shut down all of the people who think the space is fake or that the Earth is flat or whatever they want if they literally just turned the Hubble around or turned one of the satellites that are orbiting Mars or the moon or whatever around and just gave us a very clear shot of the Earth that we could verify with cloud patterns, time, and that kind of thing. But they've never done it.
Well, would you agree that astronauts on spacewalks, in orbit on like the ISS or space shuttle back when that was still flying, they have taken pictures of the Earth. It doesn't have the whole globe in frame, but it does have enough of it to show that it's there and it's round. I mean,
Shots
would
fired.
you count that as like a real photo?
No, and here's why. Because number one, they're always using wide angle lenses. So, of course, it looks round. But if you look at how high the International Space Station is, and you look at the images of the Earth coming from the International Space Station, and you look at the curvature, right? Now, people have done this. I haven't done it personally, but I've seen people who have done this, and they map
You've
out.
never been to space, Jeff?
No, I've never been.
All right.
But they'll map out that curve that you see in those pictures, even in the live streams, right? They'll map that curve out and they'll show you, like, if this was the actual curvature that they were seeing from the International Space Station, the Earth would be like this big. You know what I mean? Like, it's super tiny because of how much curve you see from the altitude that they're at. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But I do have a counterpoint to that. When you use a wide angle lens, the curvature is the opposite way. Like, it curves in a concave manner, not in a convex manner. So how would you explain that?
It depends on the angle. So I've actually seen where they've done high altitude balloon footage, right, to
Mhm.
prove that the Earth is round. And these balloons, when they go up, they're not perfectly stable, right? They're doing all kinds of moving around,
Mhm.
and you
Yeah.
can see this nice, beautiful curvature. But as that camera starts to move and the horizon shifts, you start to see that convex and concave horizon. You can actually see this perfect little globe bend the other way, depending on which way the camera's moving. So I've seen both. And I wouldn't put it past NASA, who is incredibly advanced with technology, to have developed some sort of camera lens that's different than like a fisheye lens or just a normal wide angle lens that you and I would buy from Best Buy. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, if it's possible for NASA to do it, do you think it's also reasonable to assume that it's possible for others to fake the imagery to make it seem that it's,
Yeah.
other way?
Yeah. I'm sure that there's people faking things on both sides, right? To prove their points. I have no problem believing that. But the questions for me come like, where is a clean shot of the Earth? Like, I want a clean shot of the Earth. I don't want any funny business with lenses. I don't want any data driven artist renditions, right? I don't want any live streams with cuts. I want one clean shot of the Earth from space.
What about pictures from the Apollo missions taken from the moon?
Fake.
Do it. Finish him.
I mean, that's a picture from far enough out that you can see, all of the Earth, at least what's bathed in light.
Fake.
Why?
So that begs the question, like, you would have to see it with your own dang eyes then, because you could just dismiss every single picture that would ever be presented to you and be like, no, that's fake. No, that's fake.
You're
Okay.
right. But here's the problem with the moon landings, the Apollo missions, okay? So,
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's so many problems, but let's just go to the number one problem, all right? They faked, and this has been proven, they faked the footage of them halfway to the moon. The footage of them halfway to the moon, calling back and communicating with NASA, right?
Mhm.
That footage was
Well,
faked.
They're just sitting on a launch pad.
Well,
I
no,
mean,
go ahead.
I mean, how did they fake it? What?
So the best, most damning piece of evidence, and I can't think of the guy's name. I'll try to pull it up in a second so I can give everybody like a reference to go look it up. But there's in the original footage, which this guy has, he shows that there's a delay. Right now, we expect there to be a delay if you're talking to somebody, however far it was, 100,000 miles away or whatever it was. Right, you expect like a certain, I think it was like an 8-second delay or a 6-second delay between hearing and talking and all that stuff. And in that footage, you can hear another voice, a third party, not Houston, not the astronauts, where the astronauts would speak and then it would wait a couple seconds and you would hear speak. And then the other party would speak. And then you'd hear a delay for a few seconds, speak. And then the astronauts would speak. There was a third party voice. It was as if they were literally in 2 different rooms in a studio somewhere, and they were accounting for the delay that there should be when doing this footage. And there's more evidence to that. I'll find this guy's name and I'll send it to you guys so that you can look it up. But yeah, that
Now,
footage of halfway to the moon is fake.
So that's video evidence, or is it audio only?
It's both. I believe that there's video and audio. I think it's actually 2 different. It's 2 different things. Like they did video, and there was like pictures taken, and then there was audio as well.
Okay. Now let me ask this. I mean, we all would agree that NASA people are pretty smart, right? Smart. I mean, they work for
it's
NASA.
debatable.
You got to
There's
depend
a
on
lot
who you
of
talk to.
sailors that work at NASA, so I don't know about that. I know sailors, and
Well, yeah. Okay, so you're
Got him.
kind of ruining my point here, Jake.
some of them are smart.
Well,
No, they're
okay,
not.
okay, so my whole point is, I mean, it kind of seems ridiculous that if they're trying to fake this, right, and they're trying to get the timing correct so that it seems like there's an 8-second delay between the person asking the question and them answering. Don't you think that, instead of someone literally saying speak, giving them the cue to speak in time, that they wouldn't just like give them a hand signal that's completely silent? The fact that they would, even be talking, I don't know. That just makes it seem, that just makes it seem way more unlikely because it doesn't make sense,
That seems staged to fuel a conspiracy. That's just, from my point of view. Now, I mean, come on, man. That's something even sailors would come up with that. They
use
like
signals every day.
Hand signals every day. We speak without speaking all the time.
Well, they didn't necessarily have to be in the same room together, right? Like they could have been talking from 2 different studios across the country for all we know. Nobody knows for sure where they were, but
I mean,
they know that they weren't halfway to the moon. That's
turn a little red light on that says speak.
This is a good. This is something that's important, I think. So for a lot of people who are like in the flat Earth community or space is fake, whatever, the problem is that most people would say that I'm a flat earther just based on all the things that I've said. But here's my point is, I don't believe that it's flat. I don't know what it is. I just know that the heliocentric model is full of holes. So right now,
and the flat Earth isn't.
Well, I'm not saying it's not. That's why I don't believe the flat Earth. But I can point to more things in the heliocentric model that we're all fed and say that doesn't make sense than I can do with like a flat Earth or whatever conspiracy you want to pick. So, do I know where they were? No. Do I know that the Apollo moon missions were hoax? Yes. Right.
I mean, there's a lot of good. There's a lot of really good evidence out there that especially the one Apollo mission. Forgive me for not remembering which one, but was definitely hoaxed. I mean, there is a lot of evidence out there. We're not going to get into it.
Well,
okay?
I mean, that's
you don't get to know in this debate.
I don't have my research in front of me.
Okay. Well, how about we maybe talk on? You bring up the biggest piece of evidence. We'll just cover that.
Sure. How about? Okay. Oh, is that
Can I guess what you're about
Jeff?
to bring up?
I've just put in the chat Bart Sibrel. That's the guy who's got all the stuff. He's made documentaries like A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon and so on and so forth. So
okay. So again, this is coming off of interviews with people. When you deal with this, you're dealing with an unknown. You're dealing with what is this person's mental health, what is their motivation for this. But there are people who claim to have spotted both Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, as well as the third guy, I can't remember his name, in a diner the exact same day that they were supposed to be on the moon.
And people say that Elvis is still alive. I mean,
I know, I get it, right?
Him and Michael Jackson.
But yeah. I'm trying to get and give information because one, I don't have the research in front of me. I haven't actively researched this stuff, right? I have seen a lot of points, heard a lot of points that are convincing, right? And most of them have to do with the flag, with the footprints, with the way that they're acting in gravity,
shadows.
There's a whole bunch of things, right? And I could come to you with that, right? Or I can come to you with something that some people may not have heard of. And which is that there are reports of people seeing these three gentlemen at diners, at local grocery stores, nowhere near where even the takeoff, where was it? Cape Canaveral, probably. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but it was probably off of Florida. But I believe one of them was freaking in Arizona. One of the reports came out of like Arizona. I think it was somewhere in the Southwest where plenty of people were seeing these three gentlemen. And the bulk of the reports of people seeing them all come from the same region of the United States. Could it be false? Absolutely. Just like somebody can falsify a Bigfoot report.
Yeah, and the Loveland Frogman is my next door neighbor. Who cares what people say?
Right. But when you start getting more and more and more reports of this, you could get people that are just piggybacking or are,
Of course.
just copycats and stuff like that. Obviously, that's not how I feel about Bigfoot. I think there's way too many reports for that. Sorry, guys, I'm the Bigfoot guy, so just got to do it.
Nerd.
So is it a piece of evidence that I'm actually going to dive into and die on that hill?
Okay.
No,
But that's fine.
It's convincing.
Well, I mean, eyewitness reports, they have proven themselves to be time and time again to be inaccurate and unreliable. I mean, this has been proven over and over and over in court. I don't know how many times. I mean, it's people think they remember seeing certain people at certain places at certain times. And, that has led to, I don't know how many, wrongfully convicted people. That's a, verifiable fact that has happened time and time again. So things like that, I would, I don't know. It would be hard for me to take that at face value as being, accurate information. But,
yeah, I wouldn't hold on to witness accounts like that either, honestly. But we don't have to. I mean, honestly, in the press conference, when Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and
the guy that no one ever knows,
the guy that nobody ever knows, Michael Collins,
poor guy,
right?
Michael Collins,
Mr. Unimportant.
Yeah, Mr. Unimportant. When they
Honestly,
came back,
argumentatively, he had one of the more important jobs, and that was
of course he
literally.
did, but nobody cares. But,
That's
in
right.
their press conference, when they came back, right? They were, obviously everybody was asking them questions. Number one, they didn't look happy. Okay, they looked depressed,
Facts.
which you would expect if they had to fake what they just did, the greatest human accomplishment ever. They would probably be pretty depressed, and they looked it. But aside from that, because that's just speculation, somebody asked, I believe they asked Neil Armstrong, what the stars look like, and he said he doesn't remember seeing any stars. Looks at Michael Collins, and Michael Collins says, yeah, we did. So, and these are highly trained individuals, right? This isn't Joe Blow from the corner. These guys pay attention to their surroundings, attention to detail. One of them said that he couldn't remember seeing stars, and the other one says that the stars were abundant and beautiful and clear and bright. So there's right there, I'm like, wait a minute, something's fishy's going on here.
Well,
Maybe his head has head in a bucket the whole time. He's puking.
Buzz was also known, or has been, whatever. He's known to swap the story around a lot during interviews. It doesn't matter the gap in time. I mean, there was a couple incidences where some of the interviews were like a week or two apart, and you got completely different stories from him. And then you have reports of him coming out and saying that they never did do it. And then all of a sudden he swapped out for a reptilian and, all that, anyways, time to get real conspiracy. But, I think we kind of got a little off track there, right? So we started getting into, the moon.
This isn't a moon hoax debate. All right.
Well, and we will get into that into the infinite rabbit hole. Let us do our research and we'll get back to you on it. But we're back into the space is fake. Now, I have a question that for Jeffrey. Before I jump into that, I just want to let everybody know my personal standpoint is that I do believe that space is real. I do believe that most of it, of what we're told, is factual. And
is it because you were born with eyeballs?
Maybe that, and I don't have a gap between my ears. But anyways, it's not empty there. But
well, you are a sailor. I don't know about that.
Was
I
got my brain. I got my brains back now. Anyways, I will say,
if anyone would know about a gap between the ears, it'd be the airframer down here. Don't worry, I was a knuckle dragger too.
I will say that there's a lot of shit. Okay, there's a lot of high-ranking people that have come forward and said some really obnoxious shit, and swaying to the side of not everything that we're being told is true is definitely something that I've done more since I started this podcast. Although there is a handful of bits of information that I do believe has always been wrong, and I think one of them is the moon landing. But real quick, Kenzar, just so the listeners here kind of know your standpoint, are you a space is faker or a space is real?
Don't disappoint me, Kenzar.
You might make an enemy for life here.
What's the term? Something something
A
about
space
land
agnostic?
under the waters.
I believe there's something up there. I just don't know what it is.
Jeff, help me out. What is it? Something under the waters? Something
What is it
about
again?
water and a dome and
Biodome,
this is
polyshore, yeah.
said to me all the time, but I cannot remember it for the life of me.
Oh, the whole Earth.
Well, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot that
The
you could be
firmament.
talking about here.
I don't
You
know.
could be talking about, like, the waters above being separated from the waters below.
That's what it is. That's what I'm trying to get at. The waters above separating from the waters below. Somebody brought up to me one time that a friend of mine brought up to me that
Was it Jeff?
astronaut no it wasn't astronauts train in water, so and like
Yeah.
in some videos you can see little like air bubbles and I like the theory of space as water, so I've been leaning towards that kind of idea.
Makes sense.
So-
International Swimming Station. That's what I call it. I
Yep.
mean, they do have
Yep.
NASA has like the biggest film studio in the world, right? And
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken, I think CGI and NASA were all founded in the same year. But that's besides the point. But they have this giant pool where they have, where they build these replicas of the space station, right? So they can go down there and practice their spacewalks and all this stuff in these pools that are like super buoyant, right? To kind of mimic this zero gravity environment. But I mean, I've seen pictures and they could be fake. I mean, everything could be fake. I think we live in a simulation, so you guys are probably fake as far as I'm concerned. But like, I've seen pictures of that underwater facility that are the pictures that are given to us on NASA's website of them doing a spacewalk, right? Like, it's like they literally took the picture of these guys in this pool doing this thing, and then you see the actual image of them with the space backdrop, right? Or like the curvature of this beautiful Earth behind them. And it's literally the exact same positions, exact same picture. Every pixel is exactly the same. So could that all be faked? I don't know, but I think it is faked from NASA.
All right. So before we, get back into this, let's go to NPC Jake and find out what his standpoint is on space. Is it fake, Jake, or are you team Space is real?
Whatever the opposite of the conspiracy that everyone believes, that's my opinion. Because that's the truth.
He believes whoever's
Um,
paying.
Yeah, right? Certainly isn't because of the shillery going on over here. Well, definitely ruined my life with the images of space being fake, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all the bright twinkling stars we see out there, that those are all fake and that there's really like nothing out there. I would say it would more explain that it would be just another government agency or some alphabet soup agency that really has no freaking clue, that would rather act like they're in the know than say, we just don't know. And all that money you've been giving us over the years has all been completely wasted because we have no idea. They'd rather feed the public horse crap to, not feel like it's such a gigantic waste of time, because I do believe that, the stuff maybe in our solar system would be, I say easy to get to, but that's, it's a whole huge challenge and, math that I could never comprehend in itself. But anything past that, it's so incredibly far away that it would be so much easier to just doctor some photos and stuff and then just release something that's never been released before and say, this is what, you know, the universe or the nebula, whatever, you know, looks like. And maybe they were able to take pictures of it. It's nothing spectacular because the best clarity they get are from black and white images. And then they're like, okay, well, this is what we found, just to kind of ooh and awe the masses. But I don't think that there's nothing up there. Yeah. So that's where I'm sitting. Like, I have no problem believing that the government's lying their butts off, but I do have a problem with believing that, you know, it's all fake. You know what I'm saying?
Not me.
Like it looks like something. I don't know, maybe every single star out there, with the exception of our sun, which could not even be yellow just because of the water that's in the atmosphere, and that's what it looks like. But like it's entirely likely that everything out there is in fact black and white. Or maybe it's all pink. I don't know. But
have you ever seen one of those pool lights on the walls of pools?
Mm-hmm.
That's underwater, and that looks like the sun.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Well,
I've seen blue ones, red ones.
Jake, it sounds like you're pretty much on the same train of thought as me. Again, I don't think that
No,
there's nothing up there.
Nope.
I don't think that there's. I said this right at the beginning. I don't think that there's nothing up there. I just don't think that what we're told about what's up there is at all the truth.
He's back.
I just don't think it looks like that. Maybe this picture of this supermassive black hole is like, you know, the very first real image that's been taken besides like the moon. But you know, and even that like tripped me out. Like these pictures from this new telescope, the pictures of Jupiter, and somehow it's blue all of a sudden.
Well,
And they're like-
the James Webb Telescope is looking through a different spectrum of light than the Hubble. That's why it's a different color.
I don't know. It's been the same dang color my entire existence, and suddenly now it's blue.
So
Wait,
here,
what
check.
did I
like-
miss? They're changing the colors of the
And then
planets
There's
now?
also like, you know, that one big massive eye storm that's always there. Now there's like 15 of them on there
true.
and stuff, and it's like,
Okay.
So here, hold on. Before you answer this, I've got to add to that, and then we'll make you answer it because we're playing
Okay.
devil's advocate here, right? So
Okay.
the spectrum of light thing does make sense. I mean, if it's a tenth of
So-
the lens or, you know, whatever, it's a
have
UV
any of
something or another, whatever. I don't care.
Jake, stop
but-
talking.
here goes.
No, it's just gonna ramble on some crap.
Here goes a question:
It's facilitating the insanity.
Which or how many of you have had the chance to look through a high-powered telescope at a planet?
Me
Okay,
didn't see nothing.
Mars. I've looked at, and
was
I've
very
also
red.
looked.
What a
and
show.
I've also looked at Jupiter. And what did Jupiter look like? Jupiter looked like the traditional Jupiter, for the most part. I mean, it was pretty small, but still, right? But Jake brings up a good point. Now the James Webb is showing that it's all blue and shit. So the next time that I go up to one of these high-powered telescopes and I look at Jupiter, am I going to see it in blue?
No,
Why?
because your eyes can only see it in the visible spectrum of light.
Then why is
James
the
Webb
picture?
is looking-
Why am I seeing it in blue?
Why is the picture being taken in an invisible spectrum of light? If that's
Why
not what
are
it
they
looks like.
trying to deceive
Wes is
us
right.
with colors?
They're taking pictures in a different spectrum, which I totally get. You know, I have no problem with that.
Because we want to see
Right.
what we can't see.
Right.
That it's actually blue.
But we can
Just
see
look
I'm
blue.
like real chill
So
right
wait,
now.
So
But
if
again-
they portray it as blue, then why? And we're looking at it and we're like, oh, it's just blue. Like, no, it's in a different light. Then why don't you just show me it in the normal color and tell me that there's extra colors I can't see? Why are you going to show me blue? I feel like it's more confusing. That's just me. Maybe I'm just stupid. Probably stupid.
Yep.
Okay, so
Come on, man. It's a different spectrum.
Duh.
I mean, this is gonna hurt my argument a bit, but
Good. Yep.
Most of the pictures that NASA puts out is the colors are doctored to a degree.
Oh,
You know,
Okay.
What we see in a telescope isn't exactly what we see in those pictures. It may look
Oh.
close, but you know,
Mhm.
it's not exactly the same.
Ah.
You know, I mean, because like the Voyager and whatnot, the other satellites that have been sent out, you know, to the outer edges of our solar system, you know, they've taken pictures of, you know, multiple planets as they gone by, you know, if they could, and you know, what they see out there isn't what we would see if we were looking at it with our own two eyes, you know. So they have changed it to match that to a degree, but you know, it's still there. We're just not seeing, you know, same colors like if we were actually out there just floating in space looking with our two naked eyes at it, you know.
Is Pluto
But-
a thing now?
Pluto is
Again?
a
And the thing,
proto
man.
planet.
Is it
Let
a
me
thing
ask-
again?
It's a planet.
I want to
Proto
ask
planet.
all you guys this
It's a
question.
planet.
Yeah.
And
It's
I
not
might
a
have asked
rock.
this question before. Maybe you guys have heard me ask it on my other show, but I'm going to ask
Yes,
all
I
of you
believe
the same
gravity is
question.
real. Yes.
We'll get to that. We will get to that. Don't worry. Do you guys think that human beings have ever been to space?
Yes.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Because where does space technically start?
It's a good
That's
question.
the real question.
That's a
I
good
knew it.
question.
Right after I said yes, I knew exactly where you're going with that. Because technically, our Earth's atmosphere extends past the moon.
Yes.
That's why you're asking.
Correct.
And I wonder how many people actually know that. Because not
Where's
all people do.
where's the SpaceX right now? The Dragon? Where's that at? Where are they going? Are they going to
Roadster?
Mars?
No. They just put up Starlink satellites pretty much. And
That's
they
it?
bring
Okay.
shit back and forth to International Space Station.
Isn't there? Well, then there's talk of them trying to go to Mars at some time, like 2040 or something, right?
2025 is the last thing I heard from Elon.
There's also a Tesla Roadster out there heading for Mars. Last I heard.
That's so fake, dude.
2025 is right around the corner.
That's so fake. Even Elon says it. You know it's real because it looks so fake, right? And there was actually a glitch in that live stream. There was a glitch in that live stream where
Okay.
for a split second, you can see the background shut off and you can see studio lighting, and then it clicks right back on.
Oh, I don't believe that.
Look it up.
I was watching that live stream of that launch.
Did you watch the
I don't remember.
whole thing?
I watched it for hour and a half, 2 hours.
It was just after you turned
It was
away.
the moment you turned it off. That's right when
The
it
moment
happened.
that
turned
one
around to
split
crack a
millisecond,
beer,
I
and it
blinked
was like,
No, but it is like a very quick change. It all happens within like a second of it shutting
fast.
off, shutting
I
off,
don't know about that.
coming back. I mean, again, could be fake. I don't know.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Let me ask something real quick though,
Go ahead.
if you don't mind. Do you believe that we have the technology to launch ourselves or other objects into space?
Into
Objects?
space? No.
Either
Objects, yes.
humans or objects.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Is it?
Yes.
Is it the Voyager, the ones that are just going?
Yeah,
Right,
one of them's past.
Interstellar.
One of them's Interstellar. The other one I think is about to be. or
Yeah, I
it's
think I
near
think
the
it's
edge.
real. I don't really buy the idea that we're able to retrieve pictures from them. That's pretty hard to believe. I mean, maybe
Radio waves travel a long way.
I get it. I do.
haven't
but
you heard about the mystery sound from
Mystery-
way out there? I
Which
don't know.
one?
Oh, the new one that China just got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one that they're lying about. Have you heard
The one
about
they're
that?
lying about?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah, they came
least
out
I'm
and
not
they
sure.
made an announcement that they started hearing something way out there, and then like the next day they retracted it.
Yeah, they said we think we found like an alien transmission that got sent back to us, and then they're like, oh, it probably wasn't though.
I don't.
I kid.
Here's the
kid.
thing. I do not believe that we can launch anything into space. And there's two reasons for that. Number one, space, as you said, is further than the moon. Okay. Now, did they tell us that they've launched satellites further than the moon? That's what they tell us. But let's
What
just
about the
do like a
rover on
little,
Mars?
let's do a thought experiment here. Jeremy, you might know the answer to this. How fast is the SR-71?
Mach 4.
It's like Mach 4 or Mach
It's
7 or
it's
something
like-
like that.
it's
Something
like-
like that, yeah.
It's like
Nothing's-
2,500 miles an hour.
I mean, you're
Oh, that's-
talking to
500 miles an hour.
3 naval aviation guys. We're all going to be in the ballpark.
Well, nothing's gone faster
okay.
than Mach 5.
Let's
so
just
far.
call it Mach 5 for an easy round
Nothing
number. Okay, it's
manned.
going
Okay.
Mach 5. Okay,
Tom Cruise did.
Mm.
Fuck that guy.
think
mean-
about how. Think about.
Miss
Sorry.
Think about
Center
this.
too.
I want you to think about how how sleek of a design the SR-71 is. Very
Uh-huh.
Pretty sexy.
aerodynamic.
Yeah.
Okay, super aerodynamic. Going, let's say Mach 5, right?
Mhm.
Not painted because those speeds would rip the paint off. Okay,
Mhm.
Mhm.
the space shuttle.
Mach 3.3 is at top speed.
There you go, Mach
2200
3, not
miles
even
per
5.
Yeah.
The space shuttle, okay, giant,
It's a bus.
bulky, not yeah, it's a bus. Okay,
Magic School Bus.
it's got
It's
a nice
3
paint
foot-
job on it.
3 football fields long.
It's got a nice paint job on it, right? Nice, beautiful American flag, the name painted on the side of whichever
Ooh,
shuttle
that's
we're
so
talking
pretty
about.
too.
Okay, you know how fast that thing has to go just to reach orbit?
The paint job adds another 50,000 miles per hour. Everyone knows.
17,500 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
17,500 miles an hour. Nowhere near aerodynamic as like the SR-71. And it's going multiple times faster.
Well,
Well,
that's because it
hold
has
on.
raw power behind it.
Hold
But
on.
how come it doesn't
Hold
look
on.
shred into
I'm jumping in.
pieces?
Hold on,
Jeffrey.
hold on.
Jeffrey. Hold on. I'm the host here. Anyways, Jeffrey, when
Mhm.
was the International Space Station put into space?
It's been being built since the 80s, I want to say.
Right.
Early 90s. right?
And
It's like the
if
80s, I
you're
think.
somebody with some brain cells, you'll know that technology when it comes to space goes backwards. Okay? So the way we're thinking right now doesn't make sense compared to how it was back then. Obviously, because they landed on the moon back then, right? And we no longer have the technology to do this. Okay? So obviously, we were able to put shipping containers that were 3 football fields wide into orbit back then, but we no longer have that technology. Now it has to be sleek. Okay? So you really need to take a step back and think about what you're saying, sir.
Here's another
Yeah.
way to think about this too. Have you guys seen the video of that railgun? They got this new fancy railgun technology, and it's firing this steel projectile like
Uh-huh.
it's fast, so fast that you can't even see it. It's like a freaking
Very
That's an
fast.
understatement.
flash, right? That's not even half the speed as a rocket taking something to orbit.
Yeah.
The projectile coming out of that railgun is not even half the speed.
And you can see a rocket when it's taken off.
You can watch
You
it.
can watch it.
Think about the
like-
speed of a bullet fired out of like, let's say like an AR-15. Okay.
Could
Okay.
you imagine how fast that gun was in the 80s? Jeez. Just nuts.
What is this? I can't remember
Freaking
the speed.
8 miles an hour.
I think a bullet out of a rifle is moving something like
2,800 feet per second, I believe, for an
yeah,
AR-15.
but how many miles per hour is that? I think that's like 1,200 miles an hour.
I don't
All of
know.
them?
Hold on, I'm looking this up.
Maybe like 2,200 feet per second.
I'm looking this
Dang.
up.
Get a big brain on Jake.
Yeah, that's all of the speeds.
Sorry, Wes, I didn't mean to cut you off like that.
Tell me
you're
if I'm
fine.
I
right.
apologize.
That sounds right.
Is it 26?
He said it with so much confidence, I
2,200.
just believe it.
Okay, so 3,260 feet per second is roughly
low.
2,221 miles per hour. 2,000 miles an hour. Okay, that's a rifle bullet.
Slow
Okay.
if you're trying to get out of orbit, you know?
Yeah,
That's
when you're
slower
going
than SR-71.
17,000 miles an hour.
Slower than the SR-71.
Do
They
I
could
think that we
race
launch things into
A
space?
5.56
Absolutely not.
round and
I do
win.
not.
I bet you an
I-
M1 could have shot out of orbit.
Here's the
They
thing.
could
I
literally
live.
see it 5.56 round in their next to their window and beat it.
I live right next to NASA.
Just
Okay, I watch the rockets launch right in front of my house. Okay, I'm like
Wait,
8
which
miles.
NASA?
Canaveral, Florida.
Oh.
So, so I watch these rockets go up and track out towards the east. Okay, and they're there. It takes them a while. It takes them a few minutes to go up and, go out at eye shot. But they're
Mhm.
moving 17,500 miles an hour, apparently.
But you
Yeah.
also don't believe in gravity, like, and the rest of us that do. What about the lessening effect of gravity as you get up off the ground? Which
It's not.
in your way, it would be the amount of stuff that's on top of you pushing you down. But then as you go
No.
up, that would lessen anyway. So wouldn't that cause it to not have to go as fast with
Hold
the
on.
less
No.
force pulling it
Can
back
we
down?
can we keep
No.
gravity out of this episode? We need something for episode 150. Okay.
Well, I don't
Please.
not believe in gravity. I just don't think gravity is the primary force in the universe that's keeping the universe together,
Jeffrey.
like we're told.
Jeffrey,
What?
That,
we have
that kind of
argued about
opposes-
this too many times for you to say that. You can't say that.
That
No, I
that
do.
viewpoint would directly oppose you saying that it's not possible for things to leave Earth's orbit or gravitational pull. Excuse me.
What? That gravity's not the primary force in the universe?
What are the rockets
Love
having to
is.
overcome if it's not?
It's all you need, honestly. All
I'm
you
not saying
need is
gravity
love.
doesn't exist. I'm saying it's not the primary force in the universe.
I mean, I grew up in Florida watching the shuttle launches, rocket launches, and all that as well.
Come
I was
back.
up in Daytona. I'd like to, but that's further down the line for me where I'm at in life. But anyways, I mean, seeing it firsthand, growing up and whatnot, like, I mean, seeing it, watching it on TV and whatnot, and then seeing it firsthand is a completely another thing, and it's something I'll never ever forget. It's an incredible experience, and for me, knowing what I know now, it makes sense to me that they're traveling that fast because of how quickly they disappear over the horizon. Whether you believe they're going to space or not, the fact that especially when you watch a launch at night, you can literally track it disappear into the horizon. I mean, it has to be going that fast for it to get that far out of sight that quickly.
How does it not break into a billion pieces, though? This is my whole question about that.
Rivets. Strong rivets.
math and lots of rivets. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of smart guys, a lot smarter than me, that have figured this out. I mean, I don't know, some kid from West Virginia, that's one of West Virginia's great claims to fame, designed the nozzle that they use on rockets now.
You're talking about the kid from October Sky.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal discovered him.
Yeah, that was his name, I think.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one. Some kid discovered that, and we had at the time we had German rocket scientists and stuff that we brought over after World War II that couldn't figure that out. A kid figured that out.
Project Paperclip.
Yes. But I mean, I don't know. To me, like seeing it firsthand as a kid, knowing that a kid designed, helped design the modern rocket engine that we know and see today. I mean, human ingenuity has no bounds, no limits. It's just a matter of time before we figure out how to do something. And I that's one of the greatest reasons I believe that everything that we know of this current day about space, that's why I believe it's real. There is more I don't know, I guess a better way of putting it is like just my belief in humanity helps that. There's tons of evidence, right? There's, like you said, there's tons of evidence on your side as well that you believe, but I mean, for me, a big part is seeing humanity and what it's capable of helps me believe that what we know and see today is real.
I can jive with that. I mean,
He's like, you're wrong, but
no, I can jive. I mean, I get that perspective
In a nice way.
Yeah.
There's a long time in my life where I was like a super big space nerd, man. Like I love space stuff. Even to this day, I love space stuff. Right? You give me a good
Fuck yeah,
sci-fi movie
space.
or a game, yeah, fuck yeah, space, dude.
Oh, yeah,
Like I'm all about it, right? Like I play Kerbal Space Program, right, for fun, right, which is like as nerdy as you can get with space. Okay, but I guess my belief is rooted more in the fact that I think that they, right, the lizard people, want us to think, right? They want us to think that we're just running out of shit, scarcity, right? So they've
Mhm.
concocted this whole idea of us floating in infinite nothing on a little tiny rock. We've never communicated with another civilization outside of this rock, and we probably won't, based on the vastness of the universe as we're told. It's all meant to make us feel like this is it. We're running out of shit. You know, watch what you consume and everything else. When in reality, I believe abundance is the truth. I think there's enough resources. I don't think we're overpopulated, right? I think that the problems are pollution, not scarcity. So I think that that's like a big motivator for like the why. When people ask like, why would they lie about this? And
I-
that's what I
I
think.
would
And
I would agree with you about that. I believe that that they're trying to make us believe that all our resources and whatever become scarce and whatnot, and pollution is not the problem. I would agree with you with that, but for different reasons. But yeah.
thank you. And just like that, we're in flat
You're
Earth,
welcome.
everybody.
You're welcome.
So let's go over a question that I got from a fan. I'm going to leave this fan anonymous.
$20 for
Uh,
each fan question. Go.
No, you're going to do this for free and you're going to like it.
$1,500 for the next fan to ask a question on the Infinite Rabbit Hole group. That's what he said, guys. You heard him.
Not true. Anyways, this fan asked this question shortly in my private DM.
It was him.
After Jeff
Yes.
posted a video of a, I believe it was SpaceX being launched off of Cape Canaveral there.
Uh-huh.
And he said that, look, it hit the firmament. Now, I know Jake said that word earlier today.
Yeah, I don't even know what it means. I just
but
heard
the
it.
question is for Jeffrey, what is the firmament?
That is a question that nobody knows a definite answer to. There's a couple different theories. The one that I like the most right now is that the firmament is, people are referring to it as sky ice. Okay. And that
People or flat earthers?
Because flat earthers
That's
aren't
funny.
people. Everyone knows that.
I like that.
They're crab
That's a good
people.
I mean, you're
Uh,
saying that as in the general term, as in all people.
No,
I'm
no,
just
not
trying
all
to
people, but
clarify.
like
That's all.
there are
That's
people.
all.
You
Crab
know, yeah,
people.
most of them are flat earthers. You are correct. I can't.
We
deny that.
know what you meant.
But
Little pinch.
that it's like a physical barrier between us and the next realm, the ethereal
Uh-huh.
plane, if you will, right? Or
Okay.
space, if that's what you want. But
Okay.
yeah, nobody knows what it is, man. Some people think that the Van Allen radiation belts are the firmament, that it's an electromagnetic or radiation or something else, and not like a physical barrier. I don't really.
But if it was the Van Allen radiation belt, then the SpaceX rockets would not be hitting the firmament because they would have to go a lot further than what you showed in your video.
Correct.
So that's it.
Okay.
So how do you know when they hit the firmament then? If no
They
one
don't.
knows
I
what
was
it
being
is.
facetious in that video.
Okay.
Whoever that was and is listening to this, it was like, I'm a jokester, right? So of course I'm gonna be like, yo, it hit the firmament. Do
He's
I
a
think that
shill.
we are in an enclosed system? I do think that we're in an enclosed system. Do I know what the firmament is? I have no idea. I have no clue. I couldn't even begin to tell you what it is. It's a mystery. We're in the Truman Show. You know when he rams the boat into the wall,
Imagination.
right? Like that's it. It's just
We're in
a
the
wall
biodome.
painted like
Just
the sky.
admit it.
Yeah, we're in the
Yeah.
biodome. But here's a question.
Yeah.
Okay. Another like one that makes my brain just go off. Stars. Okay. So we can go back at least to 3500 BC. Okay. When they were building the pyramids and such in Egypt. And honestly, we could probably take that back to like 30,000 BC if you go off of research from like Dr. Robert Schoch and Graham Hancock and these people, but we'll just call it 3,500 BC. Okay. So about 5,000 years. How come if we're spinning at about 1,000 miles an hour and we're going around the sun at like 66.6 thousand miles an hour, which is an interesting number, and then the sun is traveling through space around the galactic center at 500,000 miles an hour, right? And then, like all these different motions are happening all at the same time.
Which ones?
All of them.
Okay.
How come the stars, the constellations, aren't warping and shifting and becoming totally new and different constellations over the course of 5,000 years?
You mean why aren't the stars physically
They are.
moving like amongst themselves and swirling and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, think again. We're doing multiple motions at high freaking speeds. Okay, all
Well,
through
if I can answer this, the sun isn't technically revolving around anything, as it is the entire Milky Way galaxy is moving away from the point of origin.
Well, the Milky Way galaxy is apparently rotating around the galactic center, the galactic core.
Well, the sun is rotating around something, but that something is at the center of the Milky Way, but the Milky Way at the same time is revolving around something else bigger.
Right. Again,
Everything's
we're doing
revolving around
Oh
something.
no, the Milky Way is all the galaxies are moving away from the point of origin, which is what is thought to be the Big Bang.
I mean, that's happening, but we're also getting pulled towards something else that we don't know.
Well,
what
we're
it is yet.
expanding outwards, and then soon the theory is that we're going to begin retracting.
Okay.
Right?
Soon, meaning like
that's-
100 billion years or something.
Well, yeah.
I think that's the oldest.
I think the
version
question, the question or the answer, Jeff, kind of comes down to how fast are we actually moving around the black hole in the middle of the Milky Way, right? So, how fast are we revolving around it? And the knowledge that we're not actually seeing stars from other galaxies, like with you can see other galaxies, like you can see the Pleiades and a few others from here on Earth. And those are generally in the exact same locations, which is pretty interesting. But if you're looking out at another set of stars, right, that are also within an arm of the Milky Way, or even your same arm in the Milky Way, I mean, they're all rotating in the same direction as the sun, and it probably wouldn't change very much in 5,000 years. Jacob, Shill Jacob.
Ah, yes. What about the theory that some of the stars that we're looking at in the sky could have already died and exploded, and we just haven't gotten it yet?
So easy to explain.
I mean,
that's all light years, dude.
No, I'm not saying that anything against it. I'm saying that we look at Orion's belt. Two of those points on it could have collided together at some point and exploded and sucked each other in and all that stuff. We would never see it.
The theory is that Betelgeuse, one of the stars on Orion's belt, is supposedly gone already, and would have been gone for quite a while. But when we do actually see it go, it's going to be extremely bright. But I think it's something around the 7,000 light years away. I could be completely wrong on that, but when we finally do see it, okay, Wes, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to let you finish. I just want to let you know that I had something to say afterwards.
But then when we finally do see it, in reality, it blew 7,000 years ago. Whatever.
My point is that, to Jeff's thing, literally everything that we see when we look at the constellations and stuff could all be flipped over and scrambled around and all kinds of stuff. And in our lifetime, in our children's lifetime, children's lifetime, and forever, they'll never know until it actually happens. And then you get the heat death of the universe.
Yeah. Duh. Wesley.
Okay, so I want to talk on both Jeff's question and Jacob's. So for Jeff, constellations have changed. What we see out there, their position in the sky, we know have changed. We know from past civilizations what they've drawn, what they've seen in the sky, and we know that those what they've seen has moved from where it was. And from our understanding of how the Earth revolves around the sun's revolving around the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Milky Way galaxies also hurtling through space, towards whatever. We know that things have moved. I don't even think that's really debated much nowadays. Because there's the joke that everyone that claims they're, whatever, their horoscope, they're Sagittarius or Aquarius or whatever. It's like, well, actually, you're not.
let me clarify. The constellations are moving, right? Because
Mhm.
of the tilts and the shifts and all this stuff, right? We're seeing different constellations, say, rising in the east and setting in the
Mhm.
west, right? I understand
Mhm.
that. That's why you have the different ages, right?
Yeah.
But the constellations themselves are still intact. It's as if all the constellations, like everything, the whole sky is shifting together,
Right.
but the constellations of these stars aren't separating and creating a new constellation over thousands of years. They're just, the constellations are remaining, and we're just seeing different constellations pulling up in different parts of the sky at different, over time. So
What if
that's
I
the
said
question. Is
okay? What if I said they are? It's just that we haven't seen it yet because in reality, the speed of light is actually very slow in comparison to the size. What we can see of the universe.
Yeah, but it's not like there was one moment 5,000 years ago where all the constellations shifted and we're just waiting 10,000 years for the light to hit us. I mean,
Mhm.
the stars should all be shifting and moving, right, at different angles and different speeds and different, depth perception, right? Like they're moving in generally the same way, like Jeremy's saying, but they're not. It's not like a synchronized. Everything's just moving together perfectly,
But that would
right?
be
Like,
the exact same result because some of those things are further away than others, right? The
Yeah.
closest one to us,
Exactly.
if it's going to take 10,000 years for us to see that any sort of movement, even if it shifted, say Orion's belt, right? You got the 4 right there. Even if they decided to come together, and that was the closest one to us, or not Orion's belt, but the Big Dipper, we'll say that one, right? And they all decide to form together, and say that one was the closest one to us, and it would take 10,000 years for us to see that they went from here to there. Then all the other ones that are all the way out here, if that bear is moving and all that crap and the Capricorn, everything is shifting around, which it very well could be, we'd never know because it would take so long for us to actually get the visual representation of it moved. When I'm looking at the sky, an inch, which is hundreds of millions of light years, and then another inch and another inch, it just wouldn't.
So
We're
okay.
saying the same thing.
no.
Yeah.
I think it is all basically the same thing. I think the problem that a lot of people have when it comes to space is a scale problem. The understanding of scales, right? And how big of a scale you're talking about, not just physical distance, but also time, right? The scale of light beams and others of the such. If we're all out on the same arm of the Milky Way, because the galaxies are kind of, they look like giant ninja stars, right? That are kind of all,
So NASA says.
so NASA says, exactly.
Well,
But if
and
we're all out
NASA.
in the same arm and we're all moving in the same general direction, there's not going to be a lot of change until we start getting closer to the black hole in the center of the Milky Way. There, things will start speeding up a lot faster, and Einstein's theory of special relativity, will tell you that light will bend, which would cause a distortion from the stars closest to the black hole, which would very much set them off in bizarre patterns. But we're so far out from the center of our galaxy that we're not even able to perceive it. I believe it's a scale problem and not necessarily a problem with space being fake, but as a problem with small-minded people, Jeffrey, that just
No, see, you guys aren't understanding what I'm saying, right? And I've just based on all three of you guys, what you just
Say it
said,
again.
you're not understanding.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
I get that it would take 1,000,000 years for the light to get here for us to see a change and pick your star. I understand that.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying is that these movements have been happening since the beginning of time. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's not like 5,000 years ago they started making maneuvers and we still just don't see that light. No, they would have been making maneuvers billions of years ago. And some of those
Of course.
stars aren't as far as we think. I mean, Alpha Centauri is 4 light years away. Okay. So
Mhm.
those movements from again, just 5,000 years ago, we should see different constellations, not the same constellations in different positions. We should see totally different constellations. Maybe not all of them, but some of them should be distorted and changed because of changes that have been happening every day since the beginning of time.
I'm picking
You
up
should be
what you're
seeing
laying
changes
down.
every day.
I think I
from
understand
some
what he's
stuff.
saying.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Listen,
I'm
dude.
not.
Listen. If we're all on an 8-lane highway and we're all driving cars, right? There's 8 cars all going the same direction on an 8-lane highway, and we're all going 60 miles per hour. Is it going to look any different? If we continue at 60 miles an hour for an entire year? No, it's only going to change if one car is going 40, one car is going 80, one car is going 120, one
takes
car
an exit.
stopped and exploded, right? But we're all moving in the same general direction at the same general speed because we're in what's it called, the local group, right? The local group.
Yeah.
For people. Hold on. The local
If you're talking about our
group.
super cluster,
But we're not all
astronomy.
moving in the
Hold on.
same trajectory. Like exactly. It's a general trajectory. We are all circling around the center of the Milky Way, but it's not like we're all in perfect sync and perfect harmony. Like, okay, this star and this star and this star are moving at the exact same rate around this thing in the same trajectory, so nothing would shift. And in fact, the ones that are further away would have to be moving faster, and the ones that are closer to the center would have to be moving slower in order for those rotations to not cause distortions.
So if I were to take a broom handle, right? And let's say the broom handle is 5 feet long, and I just spin around in circles holding that thing straight out, it's going to look like everything's going the same speed. Same thing if that broom handle is a mile long, it's still going to be looking like it's going the same speed from my perception in the middle, right? Although technically, in order to keep up with the stuff that's closer to the middle, the outsides need to go faster. Go ahead and
I
Wes,
don't have anything to say. Wes does.
Okay.
You brought up that example of the highway, and I was actually going to use that as an example myself, but I was going to expand on it. So you said earlier that also a thing that a lot of people aren't taking into consideration is the scale of everything, right? I mean, the universe is, as far as we know, is infinitely large, right? As far as we can see, there is no end to it. We just know that we can only see so far. Whether or not that's the end, there's no proof one way or the other, right? But the thing is, with scale, is things further out, even though they may be moving, however fast, if they're way out, it's going to look like they're standing still. It's just like when you're driving on a highway, right, and you're heading towards a mountain that's like 100 miles out. It looks like you're just what you see isn't changing. It's so gradual that it's almost like your mind can't perceive it. And with the scale of the universe, I don't know if we know exactly how far certain constellations and whatnot are from us. I can't speak to that off the top of my head, but I think that's the issue with it is scale. If it was within 4 light years of us, like Alpha Centauri, it moving, we would see that. But like Jeremy also said, all of us were moving together. We're not moving perfectly in sync with each other. You're right on that part, but we are moving in the same general direction.
It's close enough.
You're saying, what if they were, instead of moving, say, across the sky, they're moving towards us? We wouldn't see the difference in scale. We wouldn't really see that they were moving.
I'm not saying it has to be moving towards us, but we know that we're all moving in our local cluster or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so
is moving
I
all in
also
the same general direction. Not exactly the same path, but
the local group, by the way, is completely wrong. That's not what I was talking about.
Okay.
That's referring to a group of galaxies close. It's about 20 galaxies close to the.
I was just using that to refer to what you were talking about earlier.
I know. I just wanted to correct that because I know it's going to pop up in the YouTube comments. God, the YouTube comments are going to be lit as fuck for this episode.
Yeah, they hate us. Man, talking about us being sucking and saying that we were
love
doing a piss take. We had to look that one up. It's like, what does that mean? It's like, oh, they think we're a joke. It's
I guess like a good way for me to like wrap my mind around this is because I understand what you guys are saying. I really do. But like,
do you, Jeffrey?
No, I
just
do.
doesn't agree.
Trust me.
Oh. Jeffrey's a
don't
very
agree.
smart man. Very smart.
I like look at the North Star, Polaris, for
Mhm.
instance,
Mhm.
right? That's been the North Star since people have been navigating. That's how they navigated.
Yeah,
So-
but again, scale. Okay, you're not talking about a very
Don't cut him
long
off. Let
time
him
ago.
finish his thing.
Okay, all right. Shut up.
No,
Jeremy.
listen, I understand the scale. That's why I started this with saying at least 5,000 years and probably going back 30,000 years is when they aligned these structures on the Giza Plateau to Orion's belt and other stars. Right.
Well, 5,000 to 30,000 years is still not even long enough. That's such a short amount of time.
It's a drop
on
in the
the
bucket
grand-
in the cosmic
The
scale.
grand scale. Yeah. That's like, it's not even a drop in a bucket. That's like
but we've seen zero
a part
change
of a
in that time.
molecule of a drop in a bucket.
But we've seen zero change in that time, other than different constellations rising in different parts of the sky. But the constellations, again, themselves haven't changed at all. Not one star in the sky is like in a different spot from our perspective.
Well, that's not entirely true. We have witnessed a supernova happening. It's still
When?
ongoing.
Where?
I forget what star it is, but we had been looking at that part of the sky for I don't know how long, and then it suddenly changed. That star was gone.
Time for some
So
vocab for everybody
technically,
listening.
that that
Okay,
movie.
a supernova is when a star explodes, and a nebula is the dust that's left behind by the supernova. Just so everyone is
Oh,
on board.
all that purple and
Honest.
pink and blue that NASA fakes and feeds to the masses.
Look at that! It came full
I-
circle.
I looked it
Space
up.
cocaine.
I typed in supernova and a YouTube video option popped up. Watch a red supergiant star go supernova in this stunning animation.
Mm.
It's a fucking cartoon for adults.
So we went from the Earth is
Literally.
the
Rick
Earth is
and Morty.
flat immediately into movement of the stars.
Well, that's good because this whole I think what we're gonna do is every 50 episodes we're gonna jump into something obnoxious that Jeff believes, and
He says nukes are fake. I
I
wanna hear
can't
that one.
wait. I can't wait. That flat Earth one's gonna be fun. I think flat Earth's gonna be absolutely a
I can't
blast.
wait to listen to you
Gravity.
go off about
Thoroughly-
gravity.
thoroughly enjoy when people think that this kind of thing is just absolutely ridiculous. Somebody was like, hey man, like how do I handle this? People are like making fun of me and like mocking me, and I'm like, dude, take it with pride, bro. I wear it like a badge, man, to be honest with you, because more times in my life people have come to me a year, 2, 5 years later and been like, dude, you know what, man, that thing you talked about that time, bro, like turns out it was actually fucking true. So like,
Now,
No one's saying
I'm
that about
about it.
gravity. Not a single person has said that.
That's not true. That's not true at all, dude. That's not true at all, man. You guys need to look up the Sapphire Project and see the stuff that they're doing, right? They're basically proving what I said earlier, which is that gravity is not the main force of the universe that holds this universe and makes this universe operate the way that we're told, right? We're told that it's all because of gravity. Like that is the thing that makes all of the shit work, right? That's what makes the mass of a star collapse in on itself to create, this massive fireball that in turn creates these elements that populate the entire universe. That's because of gravity. At least that's what we were told. But the Sapphire Project is showing that it's not gravity because they're doing that exact thing in a laboratory using electricity, not gravity, right? And they're creating magnetic fields. They're creating elements. They are de-radiating nuclear material, all with electricity. And it's called like the
electric universe.
It's all electric universe shit, right? So gravity, again, the theory of gravity is still a theory. It's never been proven, right? It has not.
Well,
right?
I don't personally believe that
nobody
gravity
has
is the thing
created-
holding the universe
Well,
together either. But
It's not.
nobody's-
It's It's a concept.
Nobody has created gravity in a laboratory to test it. We've only measured what we call gravity outside of, laboratory conditions. Like you have to be able to recreate something and test it over and over again in different ways in order to solidify something as like, this is the law of the universe, right?
I believe it's a scaling
doing
problem.
that with electricity right now. So
What if I told you electromagnetic fields exist out in space as well?
well, yeah, I mean, again, this isn't a matter of there not being a realm up there. I do believe there is something up there. I just don't think that it's a vast, empty void of nothingness controlled by gravity, right? And we're just spinning in nothingness forever. Fuck us. No, I don't think that.
I mean, is this other force like gravity just called something different? Like, is it
It's
have
electricity.
similar properties though?
Yeah, man, it's what keeps us on the ground, like gravity.
It's it's electricity, man. That's what it is.
I mean, but
So-
I'm asking though, is the its properties what they at the Sapphire Project have figured out it has the same properties as gravity?
It's doing a lot of the things that they say gravity is doing, but it's not all and nothing else. It's doing other things that they never attributed to gravity, and then it's doing a lot of the things that they say gravity is doing in a star, right? So it's hard for me. I'm not in the lab, right? And I'm just a moron, but like I would just say go look up the Sapphire Project and like just watch the videos that they make about the experiments they're doing, and you'll be like, holy shit, dude, the universe is not what we have all thought it was.
I mean,
I think we need to do an episode on the electric universe. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
I would say that I would agree that the universe is not what we think it is, because what we know of it is constantly changing. I mean,
Mhm.
back when we first thought that everything revolves around the Earth, look how far we've come. I wouldn't say that we know everything. There's certain things that we have a good understanding of, and things that we barely have an understanding of, and then there's things that we don't understand at all. And gravity is one of those things that we barely have any understanding whatsoever of. Why it's a thing. Why does more mass equal more gravity? Why that's a thing. How that works, we don't know. But it is a thing, and we can't say that it's not a thing because it's affecting every single thing, on this planet. And as far as we know, it is affecting everything out in the universe. But we can't definitively break it down. Saying, oh, this is what it is. This is what it's doing. This is how it's doing it. There's a lot of things that we may never understand for a millennia. But that's the beauty of of science, is that they're always looking and willing to learn and change what they know to be fact. If something proves that it's not what we thought it was, then that's the new accepted reality, I guess, in a manner of speaking.
There is a lot of resilience there, though. It is not as simple as, hey, look, here's all the evidence that you need, so we need to change this entire law that we know, the scientific law or scientific whatever. There is a lot of resilience. People do not like new shit in science.
I mean, they like new shit, but it has to be shit that can be backed up. If someone comes out and says,
dude,
Twinkies make the universe go round, they're going to be like, where's your evidence? It has to be peer reviewed and tested, and if they all come to the same conclusion, then they're like, okay, this is probably accurate, but if
get
one person,
buggered, man.
I agree with that. I mean, listen, I'm all about science, right? Like I'm not like a quote
you're
unquote
not.
science denier. What are you talking about, bro? I just cited literal scientific
Who the fuck
studies
are you, Jeff?
that they do, right? And they're peer
Whoa, that was
reviewed.
aggressive.
Right? Like, listen, the Sapphire Project, like most of the stuff that they've done has been peer reviewed, right? It's an international organization. Like, it's not just like two schmucks in their garage, right? This is like a big deal, peer reviewed. A lot of people are looking into it. Even the DoD and like other, big alphabet agencies are looking into the things that Sapphire Project is doing because they are doing science, right? I think there's a problem with dogma. I think that there's industries in this world that are worth trillions of dollars, space being one of them, that it's super hard for them to deviate from all of the things that they've told us, right? When they started NASA, right? You're talking about a top Nazi scientist, Walt Disney, an occultist, and L. Ron Hubbard, right? Helping
Walk
to
into a
found
bar.
NASA. Right. No, they literally, literally walk into a bar and then like NASA gets formed. Okay. And from all of that, trillions of dollars have been funneled. So, there's like so much pushback because of that. And it's just like anything else. This is why you can't get a car that runs off water, right? Because there's billions of dollars that back up energy and all these other things, right? So,
Yeah,
I think that
I
we're
would
not
agree
going
with
to.
that.
Yeah, and it's the same, in my opinion, about space, right? And about dinosaurs, right? We talked about this on the dinosaur episode. It's the same thing. These massive industries, they're like, no, you're done. Keep it hush. You guys have never even heard of the Sapphire Project, right? But
No.
they're doing important things with, again, NASA, the DoD, and everybody else. But nobody's going to hear about it. Why? Because it challenges the narrative that we were all indoctrinated with when we were kids.
Wes, just to fill you in, apparently dinosaurs are fake too, by the way. So
Dinosaurs are a hoax.
So what are all these bones we're finding?
Giants.
Yep.
And that's also
like
instead
giant
of fossil
lizards.
fuels, it's a
Fossil
giant
fuels.
fossil fuel.
Petroleum is a element. It's not an actual like decayed
Yeah.
fossil plant matter.
Fossil
all that
fuels
crap.
aren't fossils. We went over that.
It's a way to get people to think that there is a limited
It's
amount of it.
all a
There's actually
lie.
more petroleum inside the earth than there is water on the surface of it. It's because it's an
Wes,
element.
do you think
It's not a,
dinosaurs had feathers, Wes?
I believe it's fossil. Sure. Latest information that I've heard about it is that dinosaurs did have fossils,
From the
or
Archaeoraptor
excuse me,
fossil?
did have feathers.
Yeah, the
again?
Archaeoraptor fossil. Yeah, no, it was faked. It was a faked fossil. Anyways,
Jeff, all the jokes aside, I also don't believe that gravity. I'm smiling right now because I'm trying not to crack, but I'm not messing around with you. I also don't believe that gravity is the thing that holds the whole universe together. But I do believe that gravity is the thing that's keeping me from floating off into the sky and freezing in outer space.
Pretty important.
I don't think gravity's not real. I just don't think that it's not the building block of the universe, right? It's not the
I've
thing.
heard you take a lot of back steps today, sir.
Listen, man, I told you, I say this in every episode. Every time I say something crazy, I'm like, dude, I'm speaking hyperbolically here. Okay, I'm getting attention. When I say space is fake, people are like, what? And now they want to have a whole 100th episode debate on why space is fake, which gives me an open door to be
Jeffrey,
like,
if
okay,
you ever
listen,
want
there is a
attention, just let
realm,
me know, buddy. I got
but
you.
it's
I
I
love
love
you.
attention, man.
Love
I
you.
love it.
I
Go
love
check
you.
out my OnlyFans.
Feet.
I'll pay you not to see it.
Oh,
We'll take that too.
Well,
Cash or check.
so is there anything else either or any of you want to get off your chest about space possibly being fake or not being fake?
I think there's too much, because one thing we didn't go into, and I wanted to bring up earlier when we first started, was we talked about NASA and them faking images and whatnot, right? What about all the backyard astronomers, people who are taking their own photos and
That's the
videos
firmament.
of things?
And that's exactly why I don't trust anything most things that come off the internet. I have a lot of trust issues because the internet. You can't trust anything. Everything's faked.
so
But I mean, I guess my argument would be there's more evidence, people posting their own photos and whatnot that they've taken themselves that backs up NASA's a lot of their stuff. I mean, NASA has come out and said publicly, yes, these pictures of the Earth are CGI, that they're not real, but they haven't said that about pictures of nebulas and stars and stuff like that I know of, at least.
So
They
I mean,
have
that's
come out and said that they're paint by numbers
they
Mhm.
have.
in a very general sense. That's
Well,
Go
yeah,
ahead,
no,
Joe, sorry.
they definitely have. They've definitely. I mean, it's on their website, but why would you doctor pictures of the Earth? Don't know.
To
Don't
make
know
it
why they do it.
sexier.
Make it
Put a
sexier, I
little
guess.
dress
But
on it. Yeah.
yeah.
backyard astronomers, man. I mean,
Ooh.
look, I used to have a telescope. It wasn't like a crazy telescope, it was a couple $100, but you could look through it and you could see stuff, right?
See
And so
Nerd.
the nothing out there.
I get
Mhm.
that. It's not that there's nothing out there. It's what we're told that is out there is not what's out there, right? Like, so for instance, if I'm looking through a telescope in my backyard and I see what I'll call as a luminary, right? And it looks like Saturn, for instance, okay? You see
Mhm.
this little blurry ball with what looks like might be rings going around it. The only reason that we look through that and we see and we make the connection that this is a sphere with rings going around it is because that's what we were told since we were children, that this is what Saturn looks like. It's a giant gas ball with rings around it. So when we look through and we see this two-dimensional image, because that's all you can see from our perspective, we automatically connect those two dots and say that's a sphere with rings around it. But we don't know that, and we don't know how far it is or what it's made out of or any of it, anything like that, unless we're getting that information from one of these agencies which have bullshit us before, right? Like, I mean, dude, we don't
And they
even
have the monopoly on all the information when it comes to
they
this
have
stuff.
the monopoly on all the information, right? And then they have a real bad habit of losing important telemetry data and other things, right? So, and then again, like I said a minute ago, going back to like how it was started and who were the people involved with starting NASA, right? Like, there's just so much fishy business that to just believe what they're giving us and then looking through our own telescope and be like, yeah, it's exactly what they told us. Like, I'm not buying it for a second. I mean, dude, again, Werner von Braun, Nazi scientist, Walt Disney, okay, L. Ron Hubbard, the guy who started Scientology, Jack Parsons, who was like a high-level occultist in Aleister Crowley's Thelema. Those are the people who were involved in starting NASA. So the information that we're getting from NASA, I don't buy it.
What about the people before NASA was a thing? I mean, the first telescope was invented in 1608, according to my Google foo. I mean, people
Here's your
since
first
then have been
problem.
people have been looking into space since then. I mean, people have been looking at space since before then, but being able to look at the moon closer and other celestial objects,
They're looking
since
at
then.
two-dimensional image. There's no way to see, right? Like, you can't look through your telescope and see
Well,
a three-dimensional image and be like, that is a sphere and all these things. And the only object in space that's close enough for us to even get something like that would be the moon, and we never see the backside of it.
Well, I mean, okay, you said yourself that everything in space is moving. We're all, hurtling through space at however many miles an hour, rotating around multiple things all at once, right? So everything, if we look at Saturn today and then look at it 6 hours from now, if we're able to, if it's still on this side of Earth or whatever, not over the horizon, it wouldn't be in the same exact position. It wouldn't be in the same exact position the first time, whoever it was first laid eyes on it back in whatever year, hundreds of years ago. So I think it'd be safe to say that if every time someone has ever looked at through a telescope and looked at that particular planet and has seen it as round, I think it's safe to say that it's a sphere at that point. I mean, we've seen it in multiple positions. We know that it rotates.
Because it's round doesn't mean it's a sphere.
Yeah,
is
it's just
my
it's
point,
like a disc
right?
and it just
Like,
flops
this
over.
is round, right? This is a ball, right? It's a sphere,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not.
Yeah, but we're not.
He's a magician.
It's hurtling through space, like you said before.
I said that going off of
Shaped
the
like this.
information given to us, right? So I have this is one of my problems. One of my problems is not trusting the information, but also having to use that information to like prove a point, right? So I'm kind of like stuck between a rock and a hard place, because that's just the nature of these types of, if you even want to call it a debate, right? Is, I don't trust NASA's information or the European Space Agency's information, but there's not really any other information because they have the monopoly on it, that I have to use that information that I don't trust in order to make an argument against the information, if that makes any sense.
Well, technically you don't have to rely on the information. You could buy a telescope yourself and document it yourself. You could say, I'm going to spend however long, I'm going to spend a year looking at this planet or these planets, and I'm going to document what I see every single time I look at it. You could do that yourself, because that's basically what they're doing.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who do that, but again, you can only gather so much data from doing that, right? Like I don't have, and none of us could go buy a telescope with enough power, with enough ability to look through different light spectrums in order to see the things that we're given, right?
We'll start a GoFundMe.
You could buy a nice telescope, don't get me wrong. And like one thing, I talked to Crow 777, right? So somebody listening to this knows exactly who that is, but he's one of these guys. He has like a super nice telescope setup. Okay.
We need to get him on the show.
And he watches all these things, right? And he's gotten to the point to where he calls them luminaries rather than planets, because they emit their own light. They're not reflecting light. And he has a whole bunch of reasons why he thinks that and all these things. And he sees the lunar wave, which is like the moon having like a refresh rate and all these things. So yeah, I could go spend 10 grand on a telescope setup. I don't have it. So I'm relying on other people who have done that and weighing that information against what NASA says, against what I can see with my own eyes and all these other things. And that's like why I've come to the conclusions that we are not given the truth about space. Not just because like they're hiding aliens or some shit, but like just the nature of space.
Okay, well, I won't go into, why I think that's wrong or not wrong or anything like that. But I mean, why would they not want us to know what's actually out there? Let's say for a second that what they tell us is out there isn't what's actually out there. What is there to gain from that, and why would they hide it?
Scarcity versus abundance, man. If we all think that we're in a vacuum of nothing and there's nothing,
but they told us that there is stuff out there though.
Well, there's stuff out there, but it's so far out of reach that only either the government agencies or like the richest dudes in the world have access to it, right? Like you and me don't have access to it. Like realistically, like we're not going to go mine an asteroid. We're not going to go to Mars, right? So that's the whole idea, right? So let's just use like the electric universe idea for a second. If the entire universe, the main force in the universe that holds everything together is electricity, right? We should be able to, and people have done these experiments like Tesla, where we can pull free energy out of the ether, okay? They can't have that. It's about scarcity. You can only get energy from us for cost because this is something that we've regulated. Whereas if it's not, then the whole system collapses. There's no more control mechanisms. You know what I mean? So that's the reason. That's the why. The why is to keep us subdued and controlled in fearing that we are nothing. And if you want to get religious, it's to take people's idea of God away from them. We are an accident, shit out of the Big Bang, not here for any reason, floating through infinite nothingness, rather than put here by some intelligent creator or God of some sort. So there's two reasons.
So you believe that there is actually more out there than what they're telling us there is, right? That there is other resources that are potentially within reach of us, or not necessarily you and I, but of these government entities and super rich.
Yes, but by you and I as well, I think so, that knowledge has been taken from us.
Would it stand to reason that they would use that to benefit themselves in some way, shape, or form?
I believe that they do.
The resources that we have on Earth, we know that, the government is involved with, to a degree, fossil fuels. I mean, lobbyists have really got their fingers into a lot of politicians to keep, free, clean energy out of,
Yeah.
our
No,
hands
you're right.
and whatnot.
Here, here on Earth,
They don't hide
those,
that though.
right. Those things are mechanisms put in place to be run by people who don't know that there's other mechanisms, right? So like, point to your politician or president or whoever, whatever world leader or whatever, energy organization, right? Like they don't even necessarily know about like the free energy technologies or the infinite amount of electricity we could pull out of the ether or whatever the case is, right? They're under the same assumption that you and I are, that fossil fuels and these other mechanisms, like that's what we got. The people who are utilizing these other forms of energy and other resources that we're not privy to are people that are, like black budget people, okay? Like breakaway civilizations, black budget, super secret military shit. Like, it's not like Congress is hiding this from us. It's being hidden from them too.
Okay.
I love how crazy you are.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Man, I agree. You got me again. He even brought in, a God perspective. Like I believe in the biblical thing, Corinthians or Colossians 1:7, that
you can't
God
talk about
holds
that
everything
anymore,
together.
remember?
If it's not gravity, it's God. He holds everything together. Atoms shouldn't stick together, and yet they do. The Bible even says at the end, science talks about the heat death of the universe. The Bible says at the end that everything will explode in a tremendous sound. And what happens during an atomic explosion? One heck of a big sound. And so that everything will just... So, I don't know. But yeah, gosh, but I still believe in space. Man, let me tell you. My thoughts on it is I'll stick back to my original statement that clearly the pictures aren't real. They said it. They're like, hey, this is how we make them, this is how we, because even if they were the exact representation of this is what the camera is seeing, or the whatever is seeing, and then we're making it over here, it's not the actual image. So there's no reason for me to believe that is 100% accurate to what the telescope or whatever it is seeing, right? So it's not unreasonable for me to say that it's faked or that it's different or that it's not truly true, right? But I certainly don't think that there's nothing up there or that it's all a lie. Maybe most of it is. I don't know. But I think that there is something to be said about, everything being so dang expensive that the average person can't go spend, we said $10,000 on a nice telescope. Let's talk about like a really expensive telescope, like a several $100 million or several $1 billion. The average person isn't making NASA 2.0 to go and really figure out the stuff. These people have a monopoly on it, and they're going to have a monopoly on it probably for forever, because there's no one that could, unless it's Elon Musk, that could just say, you know what, I'm going to start my own agency. But, how do we know after a while that he's not, bull crapping us, right?
You know who's got a really big telescope? The Vatican. You know what it's called?
Lucifer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yep.
This is a fun fact.
So why do they care about space?
See, they were the first
The
ones to try to
Vatican.
push space, man.
Like personal space? Turns out Jeff actually doesn't believe in personal space either. When he talks to you in person, his lips are touching your lips. It's crazy. I've seen it.
I kiss you when we
You
talk.
felt it?
He's like, well, that too. But he was just like, I don't believe in space. And he's just, I don't believe in space at all. It's very interesting. Interesting guy.
Kind of weird. Not gonna lie.
Great kisser, though.
Kind of
Anyway.
weird.
All right.
Way to shake it up.
All right, I'm gonna. This is gone to left field. Now I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. Very well,
Gosh,
gentlemen.
what a cool debate or a conversation. I don't know.
Oh, it
wasn't
was,
even
and
a
I
debate. It was
cannot
fun episode.
wait to see the comments on this one. We're gonna be torn apart, which is great. I think people are gonna take this conversation a little too seriously. If you're not familiar with the, you're not too familiar with the Infinite Rabbit Hole, we do like to have fun,
Mhm.
and at the same time mix in some actual knowledge, and our points of view. Before I sign out, does anybody have any final thoughts that they would like to put out? Let's just go around the table real quick. Kenzar, are you still with there's an ocean above and an ocean below?
Yeah, and the whales came from above.
Duh. And then they went on the land, and then they went back to water.
They came from above. They just came on down. They started walking around.
Makes
They were
sense. Yeah.
obviously threatened by something, so they said, "Fuck this! I'm going back in the water." And here we are.
Very well. Very well.
There we go.
Jacob.
Yes.
Very well. Jeffrey, are you still on Space is Fake?
Yes. Yep.
And I know we convinced you, Wes, that space is fake, but we want to hear it come from your mouth.
Wes is a flat earther now. He texted me on the side a minute ago. He's like, you know what, Jeff? I think I'm
No
gonna
way. Ain't happening.
Wes, man, it was fun having you back.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
cool.
good to be back, man. I had a lot of fun.
This was reminiscent of a lot of past episodes. Went down a similar pathway that a lot of our old episodes used to go down, especially some of the ones that are no longer live. So, yeah,
a lot
Wes,
less fighting.
we pull some episodes. We're trying to build a vault of the oldies but goodies, and we're gonna try to recycle them or play them somewhere else as like bonus content somewhere down the road for
Okay.
those that haven't been around with us for this entire travel. So where can people follow you, man? Where can they find Wes MFing King and all of his awesome artwork, man? You do some pretty good stuff.
Mainly Instagram. That's where I tend to post all my stuff.
Spell that out for us. Is it just Wes MFing King?
WESMFINGKING.
There it is. Follow him on Instagram, everybody. Check out some of his cool stuff. I don't know if he posted what he showed me the other day, but I went ahead and shared it with the rest of the guys here. Some rabbits
Sick
with some
stuff.
infinite stuff. That was pretty cool. For those of you that have been around with us for long enough, you'll know that the season 2 artwork, which is still Jake's wallpaper on his computer, was done by
Yeah, it is. I love it.
was done by Wes with the astronaut
Mhm.
in the Blue Woods.
Hell yeah.
Very, very cool stuff. Wes, always a pleasure, dude. We'll have to have you
Hell
back
yeah.
on again. This
Yeah,
was
man.
absolute blast. Do you have anything else to say to the travelers before we sign off?
Hey, man. Space is cool. If you guys do any more space related stuff, please, I would love to be back for that.
Absolutely, dude. For those of you that are new to the Infinite Rabbit Hole, back in our very early days, Wes was our space and technology guy. He kind of brought the aspect to the Infinite Rabbit Hole from the scientific aspect, really, technology and space travel and everything. We had some fun episodes. What would we say? Finding a New Home was probably one of the better sets of episodes that we did together, where we talked about the possibility and how we would find a new planet to live on. That was pretty cool. Unfortunately, those episodes, I believe, are in the vault. So you're going to have to hang back and wait for that special occasion for them to come back out.
Take
Only
Jeremy's word for it in the meantime.
Yeah, only the OGs will know of those episodes.
Grayson's gonna comment. He'd be like, "Those were garbage."
But thank you to everybody who has taken the chance to listen to this episode. Thank you to everybody who has ever listened to an Infinite Rabbit Hole episode. It's been 100 so far, 99 for me. I'm sure everyone else here probably can't say exactly the episode count for themselves, but I can.
Yeah, like 15.
I can't even count that high. So,
unfortunately,
I don't even know how to count.
My 100th episode will not be a thing until I'm in my new house in Wisconsin. I am officially taking a little bit of leave away from the podcast. It is in Kenzar, Jeffrey, and Jacob's hands. I hear they've got some pretty cool stuff lined up for next week. Jake, I know you're presenting. Do you want to let everybody know what you're doing, or is it a surprise?
Yeah, we can talk about it. We're having Denver Michaels back on. He wrote a book called Giants, Men of Renown. Can't believe I just mispronounced that. Renown something, you know. But he. So I was going to do an episode on Giants, and I realized almost immediately that it would be an incredible disservice to cram it all into one episode. That there's just so much information. So basically, we're going to have him on and do a light episode, and it's going to be a baseline of, you know, the origin of Giants, possible origins. We'll have some biblical stuff in there, some non-biblical stuff, some science-y sort of stuff. Jeff, I know he's really big into Giants and stuff, so he could probably throw some weight around in there. And then Denver, obviously, his book is incredible. So he'll throw some weight around in there, and we'll just have a light discussion, break it down into sections, and get everyone ready for my first big project, which same thing with Jeremy doing his Black Dogs thing. I want to break down Giants into regions, and we're going to talk about some other stuff in there, probably some chimeras, because Jeff would be really digging that one. Probably talk about Bigfoot in there. It might bring in some mythology, some fairy tale type stuff, because, you know, it's like, who's to say that the Cyclops mythology isn't based off of something, right? So we're going to really expand into this topic, but this is just like a baseline, not really touching into too many things or in one certain area, but just kind of like getting the feelers out there of like, you know, what are we talking about when we talk about Giants? Like, because most people, I would assume, know about like Jack and the Beanstalk, and maybe that's as far as they think about when it comes to Giants, right? Fairy tales. They have no idea about all the other stuff. So we're going to get into it, and it should be a lot of fun. Just a cool, casual episode, and, you know, chat about it. Maybe it lasts 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. I don't know. We'll see.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that has been the very relaxed, very fun debate, episode 100 of the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Thank you, everybody. This has been such a surreal thing to do with my free time, which is no longer free. Thank you, everybody. This is such a cool project. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Obviously, co-hosts here at the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Also to Andrew and CJ as other co-hosts at one point in the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Thank you, everybody who has given me any kind of support for the show. Thank you to all my friends, family, those that are in the Infinite Rabbit Hole Facebook group, past and present. Thank you. Thank you all. We are going to keep going strong. We'll see you again for Jake's episode 101, Giants 101. You like that? That's pretty good.
Yeah. Go buy yourself a nipple tea.
Yeah, definitely check out the Infinite Rabbit Hole merch shop. Just go to infiniterabbithole.com, click on the merch tab, check out some of the t-shirts that we have, some of the mouse pads, some of the gaming pads. I mean, get you some kicks, man. Get you some kicks. Get me some kicks. That's awesome. But
I want a pair too.
I know.
I thought you said chicks for a second. I was like,
yeah, get you some chicks, dude.
Good
idea,
idea, dude.
Chicks.
Get you some Infinite Rabbit Hole chicks.
Yeah.
No, it's awesome. I'm gonna get off my soapbox now and say goodnight to everybody. Thank you, travelers. One more time. This has been another episode of the Infinite Rabbit Hole podcast. We will see you next time. I won't. They will. Right here. The next path of the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Bye.
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 Bye.